Well, now we'll zero in on some of the changes that Windows 10 makes to the user interface. First, and most discussed in the trade press, is the return of the Start menu, after a fashion anyway. Users have somewhat less control over this structure than in Windows 7. For example, you cannot add a shortcut to the Start menu or drag and drop within the Start menu, or change where programs appear in the All Apps list and so forth. But you can go to the personalization settings screen and make some choices about whether most used apps, recently used apps, and recently opened items appear. And you can choose from a preset list of folders that should appear on the Start menu. But frankly, the revamped Start menu has the feeling, to me at least, of something that Microsoft brought back somewhat grudgingly. One can also enforce the layout of the Start screen, that's the tile-based layout, by capturing a preferred layout in an XML file and then requiring that layout via group policy. I'll show you how that works in the user state migration module later in this course. The charms bar, as well as the sometimes awkward procedure of pointing the mouse to various corners of the screen in order to do things such as display the charms bar, is now gone, as apparently not enough users actually found it charming. By way of replacement, a taskbar icon at the lower right provides access to a revamped Action Center, which informs the user of recent system actions, such as Windows updates, and provides a series of buttons allowing one to flip to tablet mode display, connect to networks, and gain access to the Settings app, among other things. The tablet mode is similar to Windows 8 mode in that the Start menu is gone and the tiles fill the display. We'll look at that in a moment. As for the All Settings, as you probably know, Windows 8, in its attempt to be all things to all devices, brought a split personality syndrome to the control panel by splitting some, but not all, configuration settings off to a PC info area in the modern UI. In Windows 10, we have Settings or All Settings, which has become more complete, although still does not permit the full range of customizations that a user might want. There remains no single unified control panel in Windows 10 for configuring a system. And in fact, we can take a look at this in a demo because it's an area of great importance, really, for administrators and users, and also fertile ground for test questions. So over here on the lower right is the icon to click for the Notification or Action Center, which is exhorting me to get Office and telling me that some updates were installed. You can see the All Settings button down at the lower right, along with various other buttons that are somewhat reminiscent of the old Mobility Center in their tile design. By choosing All Settings, we can open the Settings app, which has 9 major categories, as well as a helpful search box at the upper right. For example, if you want to change your LAN connection settings, you can click Network and Internet. Or you can just enter Ethernet in the search box. Either way, though, if you want to change adapter settings, you'll be bounced over to the Classic control panel, as you can see here. Sometimes settings in a particular category live in both the control panel and the settings interface. If I search for accounts, for example, and choose user accounts, for example, if I wanted to modify user account control settings, I can do that in the old control panel interface, but if I want to add an Office 365 account or a Microsoft account to the system, for that I have to bounce back to the settings interface via this link, make changes to my account in PC settings, where I can do those things. Now, if I go back to the Action Center and select tablet mode, we can see a layout that's reminiscent of Windows 8. No Start menu, no desktop, no real taskbar, just tiles and a Start screen. But I can rejuvenate the Start menu via the hamburger icon here at the upper left. There's also a power button at the lower left, and below that an All Apps display that shows me my programs in the hierarchy that Microsoft thinks is good for me, even if it's not really exactly what I want. Also in tablet mode, when you open a universal app, such as the weather app here, it appears full screen like the Windows 8 immersive apps. I can get back to desktop mode via the Action Center. Basically by deselecting the tablet mode. I can also modify the tablet mode behavior via settings. I go over to System and Tablet Mode. Windows 10 will try to figure out which mode the device is set up for, but I can tell it which mode I prefer for it to start in. I can also just tell it to remember what I used last. Well, there's also a virtual desktop capability in Windows 10, but it's quite limited in that it only offers you the ability to control which running apps are visible in the chosen virtual desktop. The taskbar, start menu, and desktop remain the same across the virtual desktops, so they're not really well suited to setting up truly distinct regular workspaces. As one might expect, search has gotten a facelift in Windows 10. Whether you decide to use Cortana or not, and I should mention that it does not appear on the Microsoft exam outline, so we will not explore its intricacies here, but you can use the search box at the bottom of the taskbar. It's an icon in tablet mode to search both the local machine and the web. So let's demo this. Now, unlike with Windows 8, you can't just start typing to initiate a search. You have to either click the Start button or click inside the search box at the bottom left. Then you can start typing. For example, BitLocker, and the results for the local system appear up at the top, and web search results appear below. Now, for more detail on the local search, you can click My Stuff, and then see settings and documents and other places to look. If we then click Search the Web, Microsoft Edge will open up to the Bing search page. By the way, on this system, I told Edge that I want to use Google as my default search page, but when performing a search in the Windows 10 taskbar, it cheerfully ignores my preference and uses Bing anyway, because apparently Microsoft knows what's best for me. Cough, cough. Well, there are other GUI changes as well. One can, with some coordination, snap tiles in a 4x4 grid on the desktop. There are improvements to the command prompt. We finally have Control-C and Control-V shortcuts for copying and pasting, intelligent window resizing, text selection with the mouse, and via the taskbar property menu navigation tab, we can specify that we would prefer to see PowerShell choices instead of the command prompt when we right-click on the Start button.